Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Power Platform on Dynamics 365 technical update briefing for June 2022. This session is going to be presented by Ryan Anderson, Power Platform on Dynamics 365 Senior Customer Engineer, who's going to be covering the customer engagement apps and Power Platform portion. We have Tom Stumpf, also Power Platform and Dynamics 365 Customer Engineer. He's going to be covering the finance and ops portion of the session, and also going to be answering the questions on chat. And myself, Naren Sampath, Power Platform and Dynamics 365 Customer Engineer, I'm going to be answering the questions on chat. Again, thanks everybody for joining. Over to you, Ryan.
All right, thanks, Madan. Thanks everyone for joining today. And we'll get started with some featured news. First up is the Microsoft Power Platform Conference that is happening in September. Wanted to make everyone aware of this, so you can register today on the link there and get more information. Have a number of our leadership team who will be presenting at that conference. A number of different speakers, sessions all across the Power Platform. So make sure to check that out. That's going to be a great conference. On top of that, we have some on-demand events and that you can check out as well. Some of these things have already occurred, but the recordings are available and are on demand. So the Powerful Devs Conference, which is a video on YouTube that you can review. The Microsoft Biz App sessions are also on demand, covering specific Biz apps and Dynamics 365 apps, and then also the Microsoft Ignite on-demand session. So again, that one covers a wide range of Microsoft technologies, but also which includes some of the Power Platform technologies, Power Automate, a lot of different things there. So make sure you review those as well. Next up, we wanted to mention the new release planner that is currently in preview. This release planner covers Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. And it lists a lot of the releases that are coming up over a period of time here in the future. This is a big improvement over what we had in our release plans previously. The previous release plans that would come out into the different release waves were pretty static. It was pretty hard to track when changes were made. There was really no way to track specific releases or a specific functionality. So with this new release planner, a lot of new functionality here that's pretty nice. You can actually sign in, and then you can create your own plan. So basically you can track specific functionality and features that you want to make sure that you're aware of over time. There's search functionality now in this release planner that wasn't there when it first started, but that's available now too. And also one of the things I really like about this is that it will show the different items that have changed over time. So if you've followed along with some of these releases, obviously some of these features can change as we get closer to the actual release date. And so those get highlighted now, which is kind of nice, and you can see what has changed. You can also filter by dates, see what is coming out in certain months, those kind of things. So just a lot of nice functionality here that wasn't available with more of those static pages previously. So again, it is still in preview, so definitely more changes coming and more functionality coming. But check that out and start creating your own plan and following those features that are important to you and your environment. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the service updates across Power Platform and the Dynamics 365 customer engagement apps. Release wave updates, like we've talked about before, release waves happen twice a year. And right now we're on the 2022 release wave 1, which covers all releases from April through September of this year. Coming up here later in the year, we'll start seeing the release wave 2 plans and the different things that'll be coming with that. But for now, we're still within that release wave 1 plan. A lot of the things that were in the release wave 1 kind of got turned on in April when it first got released. But there's a lot of these different features and functionality that are available throughout the summer here into September. So you can review the different release wave plans and see when those are coming. Also, links here on this slide that'll take you to the release schedule. These releases are rolled out across different regions, so it's not always that you'll have the same release in every environment. It depends on what region you're in, and so you can get a better idea of the actual dates and when those get released in those links. So make sure you're kind of following along on any of those. And then also a couple of those tips to stay informed. You can stay informed with the message center notifications for Dynamics and Power Apps. And then also there is you can use PowerShell to actually manage your email notifications. So if you want those, if you want the notifications to your email, you can check out the link there on the slide to get those things. On the Dataverse side, service updates here. Typically, there's a service update deployed on Microsoft Dataverse each week. The current service update is 22061. However, like I mentioned, in many cases that gets rolled out across different regions at different times. So it may not always have the exact service update. The version number be the same. So just you can pay attention to that. In these service updates, there's various things included. On the latest one, repairing some functionality in the unified interface, platform and accessibility, and then some resolution of actions that produce errors, unhandled exceptions, and system component failures. So these get rolled out automatically. There's nothing you have to do to have these rolled out into your environment. Microsoft does those, and again, on the Dataverse side, they're typically each week is when those get rolled out. There's also separate service updates for the Dynamics 365 apps, and this is kind of on the customer engagement side. So sales, customer service, field service, and marketing. And you can there's links there, and there's web pages to go and look at for all the updates that are in those service updates specific to the apps. The cadence of these can differ a bit between the different apps. For the sales app, it's usually deployed every 2 weeks. On the customer service, there's typically every Tuesday, and then it can vary between on the field service and marketing as well. But in most cases, these are all rolled out automatically too, so there's nothing you need to do on these either. But just be aware of those service updates that are getting rolled out into your environment, specific to the apps as well. On the Power Platform, again, each kind of one of the components of the Power Platform has updates as well. So Power Apps, Power Automate, Portals, and then Power BI. And you can look at those links to see the latest version info, what's available in your region, and even how to look up, which version is applied to your environments. So on the Power App side, this covers different things like the unified interface, the Power App Studio, the Maker portal. On Power Automate, there's different versions here that may be in your environment as well. And then the same thing on the Power Apps portals, and then the Power BI. So there's updates there as well on the Power BI side. If you are using Power BI desktop, then you would need to update that yourself. But otherwise, those updates are available to you, and you can check out more details on each one of those links. Okay, a few deprecations and retirements that we wanted to mention. Again, as we mentioned before, there's the link in this slide will take you to an article that gives a full list of all deprecations that have either happened or are scheduled. So make sure to keep a good view of that one and bookmark it, because a lot of good information there. There were some deprecations and retirements in February and April of this year. Upcoming here, there's a couple in October and November to be aware of. In October, there is the retirement of the Dynamics 365 connector that may be used with Flow, even in Power Apps, some of those type of things. And there is a Dataverse connector that is replacing that. So make sure that if you're using that Dynamics 365 connector, that you're moving that over to the Microsoft Dataverse connector instead. And then also in November, there's some deprecations here. The OData version 2.0 service will be removed. The replacement of that is to use the web API, which is an OData version 4 service. And then also the data export service is going to be removed as well. And the replacement there is the Azure Synapse link for Dataverse. For that one, there's a blog and a playbook on how to switch over to the Azure Synapse link. So you can find that all in that article as well. On-prem, there's typically monthly updates happening in the on-prem space. So both for version 9 and version 9.1. On the version 8.2 now is there are no scheduled updates coming anymore. But on 9 and 9.1, typically monthly updates there. So as of today, I believe there's still the May update. And June may be coming. Not totally sure, but as of today, there's still that May update is the latest one. So to make sure to review those if you're on-prem. All right, and I will hand it over to Tom to take over for finance and ops.
Thank you, Ryan. Moving on to the finance and operations world here, we'll talk a little bit about service updates and deprecations in this area. So we'll start off with finance and operations service updates. So the latest generally available version for finance and operations is 10.0.27. And our latest version, which is available for preview, is 10.0.28. On the right here, you can see I've highlighted kind of where we are right now with respect to that release cycle. One important note here. So previously, we've provided a link to join the preview early access program so that you can gain access to those previews. Those previews are now available to everyone. You don't have to sign up for that PEEP program. So all you have to do is take a look in the shared asset library within Lifecycle Services, and you'll be able to see those preview releases. Talking about service updates, just again, this is sort of a reminder, but there have been some recent changes. We used to provide 8 service updates per year, and now we've changed that down to 7 service updates. And you can be up to 3 versions behind if you're using the auto update system, basically having us auto update your environment instead of you manually doing it. Those auto updates do apply that newest version. So if you look at how this plays out over the course of a year, you could apply up to 7 updates with a minimum of 2 service updates applied per year. And no changes with respect to quality updates. Quality updates are available for the current version and 1 previous version. Okay. Moving on to, we have a couple of deprecations of note here. The first one has to do with the finance and operations mobile applications and that the mobile platform in general. So this, so effective June of 22, this is being deprecated, And that means that the end of support for these mobile applications is actually October of 24. So what we're taking the mobile applications and mobile workspaces out eventually, and they're being replaced with Power Apps. So kind of gives us that single mobile platform instead of having separate mobile platforms. If you are a current user of mobile workspaces, such as the expense management, or purchase order approval, or checking inventory on hand, there's good news for you. So we will be replacing some of those. We'll be replacing some of those experiences with new mobile apps. I think expense management, inventory on hand, asset management, invoice approval, purchase order approval, those will have apps in 2023 sometime. So, and then for other experiences such as viewing sales orders or vendor collaboration, those are not currently planned. So if you're thinking about, if you're using those or thinking about using those, that might be an opportunity to look at building some of your own using Power Apps. So I think that's all I have. Oh, one other note here, I guess, would be that the warehouse management mobile app is not in scope for this. So that's not a part of the deprecation. All right. One more deprecation to talk about. So previously we talked about the out-of-the-box workspaces within finance and operations being updated from horizontal scrolling to vertical scrolling. Now we're seeing the deprecation of horizontal scrolling altogether. So when you get to version 10.0.29, if you've built any of your own workspaces using that panorama or horizontal scrolling style, that will no longer scroll that way. It will be, I believe, converted to the vertical scrolling, just like the out-of-the-box ones. All right, that's all I have for service updates and deprecations for finance and ops. So I'll hand back over to Ryan.
All right, thanks, Tom. So we'll jump into some product updates and Power Apps first. All right, the first one is announcing the preview of Microsoft Power Pages. So we're pleased to announce the preview of Microsoft Power Pages, which is the 5th product in the Microsoft Power Platform family. For years, organizations have been using Power Apps portals already as a fast, easy way to create business websites and adding to existing sites. And now with Power Pages, they're a new standalone product, and it empowers anyone, regardless of technical background, with an effective platform to create data-powered, modern, and secure websites. So in addition to being low code, Power Pages extend far beyond portals, former capabilities to enable organizations of any size to securely build websites with exciting new aesthetic features such as versatile template hub, design studio, and other advanced capabilities for customization with pro dev extensibility. So these are in preview. The Microsoft Power Pages are in preview, so make sure to check those out. That's some cool new functionality that was just announced recently. Up next is the general availability of the Power Apps Modern App Designer. So we're announcing the general availability of the designer. Previously, this was in preview, but this is enabling a seamless, intuitive way to build robust model-driven apps with Dataverse grids, forms, and custom pages. The Modern App Designer is now the default designer for model-driven apps, and it is at full feature parity with the classic designer. So if you were still using the classic designer in the past, the modern designer should now have full feature parity. So start taking a look at that. That's where all the future development and focus will be. So make sure you're using that new modern app designer. Okay, up next, the general availability of Power Apps Modern Commanding. So we're announcing the Modern Commanding with Power FX is now generally available. Modern Commanding provides a maker-friendly low-code or no-code experience for customizing model-driven app command bars with the first ever in-product command designer and the ability to use PowerFX or JavaScript for expressing the business logic. So should be a much easier process for model-driven app command bars with this general availability of the Power Apps Modern Commanding. Also, another announcement on general availability, and this is of some Canvas components and component libraries. So we're announcing the general availability of those, the Canvas components and component libraries. Canvas components enable low-code and no-code developers to build reusable UX components using default Power Apps controls as core building blocks. And those custom components can then be shared across app screens or multiple apps, both within and across Power Apps environments. Some of the new enhancements which are part of this GA, there's support for component library ALM, there's image and multimedia file support, custom pages, and then just some fundamental investments such as performance, reliability, and accessibility. So make sure you take a look at those, especially if you're using Canvas apps. Also new is the ability to convert image and designs into apps using AI-powered Express Design. So we're announcing the preview of Express Design in Power Apps, the ability to instantly generate low-code apps directly from design files and images. So in just a few clicks, customers can create web and mobile apps from a broad range of inputs, such as just paper forms or PDFs or sketches on a whiteboard. And you can also even use professionally designed assets in Figma. Express Design adds to many ways in which Power Platform is applying advanced AI to assist more people in driving innovation for their teams in business. So this is pretty interesting. You can just take a picture of a sketch you have on paper, and it can design a Power App for you with that AI-powered Express Design. Up next is the general availability of Wrap for Power Apps. And so we're announcing that Wrap for Power Apps, which is empowering makers to create secure, custom branded, standalone Android and iOS enterprise mobile apps with Power Apps. It's reached general availability. This one, I believe we talked about before when it was more of a preview, but it is now generally available. So you can build enterprise mobile apps with Power Apps. It's always been possible to create Power Apps applications for mobile end users, but running an enterprise app in a mobile web browser doesn't provide the native mobile web experience that your end users are accustomed to. So with this, the Power Apps mobile app for Android and iOS enables rich native mobile experiences such as barcode scanning, dark mode, NFC tag reading, and even mixed reality controls. So you can also do custom branding options, all that good stuff with the Wrap for Power Apps. Up next is the Dataverse Service Client SDK, and now that is generally available as well. So we're announcing that the Dataverse Service Client is generally available for developers to use. Dataverse Service Client was in preview, but which is why this announcement is a great one to provide developers with a generally available version of this SDK. So that's available now, and you can get more information with the link on that slide. All right, well, let's jump to Power Automate. A couple new features there. The first one is being able to restore a deleted flow. So we're announcing the capability to restore a flow, one that's outside of a solution in this so far, with the latest version of the Power Apps administration commandlet. So as an admin, you can now use PowerShell to restore a flow you deleted or on behalf of someone in your company without having to file a support ticket anymore. So that is now a self-serve option. And then also the doubled Power Virtual Agent chatbot coverage. So starting in May, the PVA chatbot on the left navigation of the website can answer even more questions. If the chatbot can't find answers to the questions you asked, it'll provide a drop-down with all the topics and scenarios in Power Automate for you to get help. So some increased coverage there on the help side with that chatbot in Power Automate. Next up is a ALM topic, making application lifecycle management easier in Power Automate. So ALM is that end-to-end lifecycle management of applications and automations, including considerations like governance, development, and maintenance. And so with this, Power Automate is providing more functionality. We have a documentation site dedicated to Power Platform ALM, since it's such an important topic across Power Platform. Solution cloud flows are stored in Dataverse, so they can take part of ALM and can be administered and managed via Dataverse APIs along with other Power Platform components. And in addition to getting cloud flows into solutions, there are several core components to make ALM easier as well. So most of those are detailed in that release plan. So take a look at that for more information. There's also some exciting new capabilities for AI Builder, unstructured document processing, model performance metrics for structured documents, and then also general availability of image classification. So some cool things there for under AI Builder, and you can read more there on the link on the slide. For independent publisher connectors, there's 15 new ones in May, and again, these are connectors that are available in different areas of the Power Platform. They're developed by independent publishers, but there is a certification process that Microsoft has that goes through these. So each month we're adding new connectors for the Power Platform. So 15 new ones here in May. Also, in addition to those connectors, there's a few new verified connectors that are available in the Power Platform. 13 there this month, and then also 14 updates released on various connectors in the Power Platform as well. Also wanted to make everyone aware on the Power Automate side that the URL is changing. So rather than flow.microsoft.com, that'll become make.powerautomate.com. So make sure that you're not blocked from going to that new URL. So you can get there. That will be the old URL, the flow.microsoft.com, will start redirecting to the new one, the make.powerautomate.com in the near future here. All right, Power BI. We have a few topics on this one. The first one is being able to export formatted data tables, and this is a preview. So announcing that the long anticipated public preview of our low-code web authoring experience for exported formatted data tables is now available, and you can use the formatted table feature to create paginated reports in any modern workspace, including workspaces that aren't in a Power BI premium capacity. And because that report is created under the covers, the 150,000 Excel and 30,000 CSV row limits do not apply. So truly a low-code modern authoring experience, so that is available in preview now. Goals in Power BI. That was a preview feature. It is now moving to GA and becoming metrics. So goals in Power BI is becoming metrics in Power BI with a lot of new features to make scorecarding in Power BI more effective. Additionally, we're pleased to share plans for how Power BI will work with the upcoming Viva Goals, which is offered from Microsoft to empower organizations more effectively to meet their goals with objectives and key results connected to Power BI data. So you can read more there on that article. An enhanced refresh with the Power BI REST API is now generally available as well. You can cancel an in-progress refresh, check the status of historical, current, and pending, refresh individual tables. You can do batched commits with restarts, application of incremental refresh policy, and the control of analysis service refresh type with that Power BI REST API. There's also an all-new Power BI integration for PowerPoint. So you can embed live data, freeze the view, share the presentation and permissions with that as well, with that Power BI integration for PowerPoint. So take a look at that as well. A public preview for Datamart in Power BI. Datamart in Power BI is a new self-service capability included with Power BI Premium that enables users to uncover actionable insights through their own data without any help from IT teams. For the first time, we're empowering everyone with the right-sized ability to build a relational database for analytics using no-code experiences for workloads up to 100 gigabytes. Without compromising enterprise security and governance demands. So you can get more information on that one as well. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Tom.
All right, great. So let's take a look at some product updates related to finance and operations. So to start off with, I have a couple of updates around notifications. The first one here is around enabling system notification management. So notification management has been a sore spot for many finance and operations admins over the years, with users having the ability to create their own alerts in the system. Sometimes those users will create alerts in areas that generate just an overwhelming number of notifications. And it was always hard for admins to identify those offending rules and then disable them to protect the overall system performance. So with this new feature, admins will be able to more easily monitor and block those offending notification rules without taking away that key notification feature. So that so many users take advantage of to make their lives easier throughout the day. So this one is currently in public preview with an expected GA of July. The next one that I have for you is also related to notifications, and this instead of the front end where we're looking at the notification rule itself, this is kind of on the delivery side of notifications. So with this one, we're actually changing how we deliver or how notifications are becoming available to users. And again, this is targeted at improving performance for the load time of a page. So when you load a page, you are also loading that action center, which contains all of these different notification messages. So what we're doing is changing it so that the action center messages, we're actually grabbing just the 100 newest messages by default. And then if you want to look at, let's say there's more than 100 messages available, you can drill into that the action center and see all of the notifications. So this is a little bit different than how we did it in the past. Traditionally, action center messages were actually loaded with oldest notification first and then continued to pull them in. So you could have a ton of them and it would add time to the load of the page. And then also you're not seeing the newest as they come in. So this one was in public, or is currently in public preview, again with a a July release. And this one will kind of go through the stages. Generally available with 10.027, which is July. It'll be turned on by default in 10.029, which is the October timeframe. And then it will become a mandatory feature with 10.033, April of 23. Okay. So those were a couple of things that were finance and operations cross-app related. Now we're going to drill into a couple of features specific to finance. So this first one here, the post to revenue accounts for zero price sales order invoice lines. This feature adds, basically it just allows the posting to the revenue account in general ledger for sales order lines that don't have a price. And the reason for adding this ability is to provide a more complete audit trail for that type of a sales order. And that it'll save accounts receivable staff time in their reconciliation process. So this feature is already generally available in the latest release. The next feature I want to talk about here is related to budget planning. So when working on budget plans with many records, you have the ability now to submit those changes to batch and have the import process handle the upload in the background instead of performing that activity synchronously through the Excel add-in, which is how it has been done so far. So adding this option improves performance when dealing with a large number of budget records. This feature is also generally available in the most current release. Moving on to commerce, there's a couple of things that a couple of features that I want to talk about here. The first one on the list relates to how we're showing sales tax to customers, kind of giving some more options there. So by default, Dynamics 365 Commerce shows the tax line item separately in the order summary. Using the hide tax breakdown feature, you'll be able to consolidate that tax into the subtotal so it doesn't show as a separate line item. The picture on the left shows how tax information is displayed by default, and the picture on the right shows what it looks like when you enable the feature to hide that information. You can see one less line item and it's consolidated into the subtotal. This feature is currently in public preview and should GA in the July timeframe. All right, one more commerce feature to talk about here. This is the copy CMS content using Site Builder feature. So using the copy CMS content feature, you can copy sites from one environment to another using a UI in Site Builder. This can save a lot of time when refreshing a test environment from production or promoting changes to production from another non-production environment. This feature is currently in preview with an expected GA in July. All right. That was the last feature update I wanted to talk about within the finance and operations space. So I'm going to hand it back over to Ryan to talk about the Learning Corner.
Thank you, Tom. All right, so Learning Corner, we have a number of new blog articles that our colleagues have put together. We're a team of customer engineers here at Microsoft and focus on the Power Platform and Dynamics 365. So this is, we have a few articles here from our team blog. The first one is around reporting on Power Apps sign-ins in Power BI using log analytics. So a common question that we get from customers is, how can I report on a user sign-ins to Power Apps in the past, some number of days? And what many tend to overlook is that sign-in logs are already stored in Azure Active Directory. So to report on them, we can connect to Log Analytics Workspace and pull that into Power BI to get that surfaced. So Skylar put that article together. So take a look at that article for more information there. The next one was put together by Darren Devine, Dataverse Advanced Audit Log Deletion using BulkDelete API. So there was some new audit data management announced recently that has a lot of benefits over the previous method, such as no longer having the requirement to delete an entire partition from oldest to newest. Gives a lot more flexibility there. But those new capabilities are great, but there's also a few things that aren't quite covered by them. So there is the BulkDelete API that's available. So you can do a few more things with that, such as deleting an audit record for a single table up to a specified date, deleting audit records between 2 dates while maintaining other records, deleting audit records between 2 dates for a single auditing action. So things like that you can do with the BulkDelete API. So Darren writes that up really well and gives more details on how to do all of that. Ben Fisher from our team put together a couple of articles here. The first one is getting a user's team name from browser cache in Dataverse Model Driven Apps. So typically it's common to see customers create various solutions to try to get a user's team name implemented in a model driven app. So one of the most common solutions we see is using a synchronous call to the platform each time. That usually isn't the most performant way to do it. So Ben goes through a different pattern here. It includes a JavaScript async await pattern to get that in a more performant manner. So take a look at that. And then also another article, this one by Aguz, around programmatically adding HTML content snippets via JavaScript onto an advanced form step. So consider you have a lot of forms with fields, and for each field you want to add special instructions, the HTML code snippets, and you want to create one instruction and reuse it multiple times. This article kind of goes through how to do those things. So take a look at that as well. Finally, our Microsoft Power Cat team has a great YouTube channel and where they have videos that cover things across the Power Platform. So a few of those are listed here, but make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. They produce some great content across the Power Platform. So links there for those videos. And I'll send it back over to Tom.
Great. Thank you. So it was actually a fairly quiet month of June when it comes to our blog. So there were no new posts on the Finance and Operations in the Field blog in June. So the two most recent were actually in May. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at those, they are an interesting read. So using Azure Monitor with D365 F&O on-prem, and then copy data from D365 Finance and Supply Chain Management using Azure Data Factory. Okay. If you are interested in, there are a couple of interesting topics here coming up for FastTrack Tech Talks. One is priority-based batch scheduling, which is a feature that I think a couple of months back became available or became generally available. So there's a tech talk covering that topic. There's also a few other ones coming up in July and August around engineering change management, which could be good to sign up for as well. The link to sign up for these tech talks is at the bottom of the slide. So tech talks that happened in June, that are now where the recordings are available. There's a couple of them here that are interesting. The first one here is part 6 of the performance testing series, which talks about day in life testing, for finance and operations apps. And then the other one is basically kind of an ask Microsoft anything about cloud migration. So if you're a Dynamics AX customer, either in the process of moving to Dynamics 365, this could be a good session for you. They talk about, a bunch of the different types of things that they've gone through with migrating customers. So that could be a good one. Again, the link here is at the bottom if you want to see any of these recordings. All right, that's all I have. So I'm going to hand it back over to Madan to close things out for us.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom and Ryan, for a wonderful session today. And thanks, everybody, for attending, staying on, listening to us. I'm going to post 2 links on chat. One is a recording here. Looks like Ryan already posted that. So thank you, Ryan. So we have all the recordings for all the sessions available. So you can watch a recording of this session as well as the prior sessions in the link there that Ryan just posted. If you would like a private delivery for your customer, for yourself, so that you can bring your teammates and you want to have it a little more interactive where you can ask questions, things like how does this apply to my environment and stuff like that. We are able to do that. If you are a unified or premier customer, I encourage you to talk to your customer success account manager to be able to allow us to be able to come on site or deliver this remotely. I'm also posting a link to a survey here. It's a small 1-minute survey that helps us understand whether we deliver the content that is relevant for you and your time was well spent. I'd be really grateful if you can take a look at that and fill it up. It takes only a minute and it's completely anonymous. We don't collect any personal information in this survey. Once again, thank you for attending. You can see some of the links here, our Twitter handle and other blogs are all available here, and feel free to go there and help us serve you better. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.